Amnesty International's accountability framework have a set of core standards that cover good governance and operational values and practices. One important pillar are the organizational health standards. Just like human beings, organizations also need tools and processes to function safely and healthily. The health of an organization is very dependent on how it takes care of its people and resources and creates a safe and thriving work environment and culture. Therefore, organizational health standards cover areas such as human resource practices of attracting and retaining and rewarding staff and volunteers, policies to address well-being, addressing grievances, anti-racism and diversity, and keeping staff and volunteers safe and secure. It also covers areas that enable this, such as good communication and feedback, mitigating risks, retaining and securing important organizational data and policies around occupational health and safety, including psychological safety, and also reducing the environmental impact of the organization and encouraging sustainable practices. The greatest asset for a human rights organization is the people who work and contribute to human rights impact. And good organizational health enables better impact by enabling a culture of support and care, as well as clarity and consequences of unacceptable behavior that will not be tolerated in the workplace. These organizational policies and practices help to keep Amnesty entities functioning safely and resiliently in an environment that can often be politically and economically fragile. What are these standards to maintain organizational health? Being a good progressive employer means ensuring policies around pay equity, making sure recruitment processes are unbiased and pay is competitive, and employees have the necessary entitlements and benefits that would allow them to take care of their health and well-being, balance work life, and attract and retain talent across various functions with rewards and incentives. In practice, this also means having good HR policies, clear codes of conduct, and staff manuals which provide employees with guidelines on values and expected behaviors and what to do if they experience bullying or harassment. If they have a grievance, having processes to report these and ways to protect whistleblowers and a disciplinary process. Respecting racial and gender equality, diversity and inclusion as a core standard and a reflection of Amnesty's values means that in practice we are putting effort into reducing chances for bias in our decisions, whether that is in our hiring practices or in terms of entitlements such as maternity and paternity leaves or flexible working, or in terms of representation of diversity of staff in senior positions and decision-making processes. Promoting communication, feedback, and complaint mechanisms is a standard which enables other standards to be implemented, because having clear and multiple channels of communication, acting on feedback and complaints, allows us to address and correct failures and become accountable in practice, whether this is addressing bullying or misinformation. Prioritizing health and well-being is an important factor in enabling an organizational culture of care and compassion, and making sure that people are able to be equipped with the necessary tools and processes to ask for help, to prevent burnout, and are supported through times of stress. It is a recognition of the fact that passionate work in the human rights sector needs a good staff well-being framework who can continue doing the important work that Amnesty does. Mitigating risks, ensuring security and safeguarding is a basic requirement for a safe and secure work environment and needs special consideration when operating in difficult social and political contexts. Having a regular risk assessment process which enables decision makers to protect the organization's resources, operations, and people is an important practice. Having training and processes for security and safeguarding is vital for protecting all employees and vulnerable rights holders that staff and volunteers of Amnesty interact with. Ultimately, protecting the humanity and dignity of people, whether employees or those who we work with, online or in person, also helps to protect Amnesty's name and reputation as a leading human rights organization. Environmentally sustainable practices to reduce Amnesty's carbon footprint by reducing energy consumption and divesting from fossil fuel investments means that Amnesty is committed to its global decisions around sustainability and is ensuring how its business side of protecting human rights through its travel, meetings, offices, and other energy consumption is in line with its values. It is important to remember that each standard underpins a value set of Amnesty and is there to encourage a health organizational culture reflective of a human rights organization. The standards are there as a guidance tool that can be inbuilt in the way entities operate, and they can implement the value at their level of operational context and capacity. The area of organizational health has an array of rich and varied practices that many Amnesty entities are implementing, and they can learn from each other. Organizational health is an ever-evolving space as the world changes. Different policies and practices may be required, and therefore no organization can be expected to be exemplary at all of the areas. However, having good practice standards provides a roadmap to progressively implement practices as an organization or entity grows. Please look through some of the resources available under the Organizational Health pillar on Amnesty Leadership for specific guidance on each standard and associated practices to learn more. If you have any feedback on these pages or questions, please write to us on core.standards@amnesty.org.